The fortress shook as another plasma charge struck its outer walls. Sarah pressed her back against the cold metal corridor, her breathing steady despite the chaos erupting around her. In her arms, 3 Zrinthian cubs whimpered, creatures that the galaxy had branded as apex predators, now reduced to terrified children clinging to her armored vest. "It's okay," she whispered, her voice cutting through the sound of distant explosions. "I've got you." The lead cub, Ash, looked up at her with eyes that gleamed like molten gold in the emergency lighting. His obsidian scales rippled with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his fear, patterns that would have triggered every predator instinct in Sarah's human brain under normal circumstances. But these weren't normal circumstances. These cubs were children, and children needed protecting. The Galactic Council's fleet had finally made their move. For cycles, they had debated what to do about the Zrinthian colony on Taros 4, a species so efficient at hunting that entire ecosystems had been devastated wherever they settled. The Council had voted for extermination, complete, absolute, even the young. Sarah had been a xenobiologist stationed at the research outpost when the bombardment began. She had watched her colleagues evacuate, fleeing to the transports that would carry them to safety. But when she reached the nursery and saw the cubs abandoned, their caretakers having fled in terror, something ancient and immutable had awakened in her human core. No child gets left behind, not on her watch. Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. Dust rained from the ceiling, and somewhere in the distance, structural supports groaned under impossible stress. Sarah adjusted her grip on the cubs and checked her wrist display. The facility's AI had been destroyed in the first wave, but her personal nav system still functioned. 300 meters to the emergency hangar. 300 meters between these children and survival. "Sarah, friend," Ash said, his voice a strange harmonic that her translator struggled to render. "Why do you not flee? We are, what is human word, doomed." She looked down at him, at all 3 of them, and smiled. A gesture that meant nothing to the Zrinthians but everything to her humanity. "Because where I come from, we have a saying, not on my watch. It means that as long as I'm here, as long as I'm breathing, you're not alone." Ash's scales flickered with confusion. Then something that might have been understanding. His siblings pressed closer to Sarah, their razor-sharp claws carefully retracted to avoid harming her. Sarah moved through the corridor with practiced efficiency. Her military training from years ago flooded back, muscle memory that never truly faded. She had left that life behind to study alien life, to understand rather than fight. But understanding and fighting weren't always separate paths. The corridor opened into a junction, and Sarah's blood ran cold. A Council Enforcer unit stood between her and the hangar. 6 armored Kalturi soldiers with weapons raised. Their beetle-like armor gleamed in the emergency lights, and their compound eyes fixed on her with cold calculation. "Human," the lead enforcer's voice crackled through their helmet speaker. "Step away from the predators. This is a sanctioned extermination. Do not interfere." Sarah's jaw tightened. She shifted her stance, placing her body between the soldiers and the cubs. "These are children. They are Zrinthians. Their genetic code marks them as galactic threats. The Council has spoken." "The Council," Sarah said, her voice dropping to something dangerous, "can go to hell." The words hung in the air. The Enforcer's weapons hummed with charging energy. Sarah's mind raced through scenarios, calculating odds, assessing threats. 6 armed soldiers, 3 terrified cubs, 1 human with nothing but determination, and a species-old refusal to abandon the helpless. Humans had conquered Earth not because they were the strongest or the fastest. They had survived because they were the most stubborn, the most adaptable, the most willing to sacrifice for their pack. And right now these cubs were her pack. "Last warning, human. Step aside." Sarah's hand dropped to her belt, fingers wrapping around the experimental shield emitter she had been testing in the lab. It was untested, unstable, and would probably burn out after 30 seconds. "But 30 seconds might be enough, Ash," she whispered. "When I say run, you run. Straight to the hangar. Don't look back." She activated the emitter. A shimmering field of energy erupted around her, and she charged. The Enforcers opened fire. Plasma bolts splashed against her shield, each impact draining its power cell exponentially. Sarah didn't stop. She crashed into the lead Enforcer like a freight train. Her momentum and mass, gravity adapted, evolved on a world heavier than most, sending the soldier sprawling. "Run!" she roared. Ash and his siblings bolted. their natural predator speed carrying them past the chaos. Sarah spun, deflecting another shot, then drove her elbow into an enforcer's throat joint. The armor held, but the impact staggered them. She didn't fight like a soldier anymore. She fought like a mother protecting her young with all the desperate ferocity that implied. The shield emitter sparked, its power cell screaming warnings. Sarah abandoned it, rolling past another volley and coming up running. Behind her, the enforcers regrouped, but she had already gained ground. The hangar doors loomed ahead, and through them she could see Ash's golden eyes watching, waiting. She dove through the entrance as plasma bolts scorched the air behind her. The Cubs had activated the emergency seals. Somehow, impossibly, they had figured out the human interface. The doors slammed shut, buying them precious seconds. A small shuttle sat in the hangar, fueled and ready, a maintenance craft meant for orbital repairs. Sarah scooped up the Cubs and sprinted for it, her lungs burning, her muscles screaming. She sealed them inside, strapped them into crash seats, and threw herself into the pilot's chair. The engines roared to life. The hangar's roof began its emergency retraction. Too slow, always too slow. Sarah gripped the controls and made a choice. She angled the shuttle up and fired thrusters at maximum burn. They punched through the incomplete opening, metal shrieking against metal. The ship's shields flared as debris pelted them. But they were through, climbing toward the stars, leaving the burning facility behind. In the co-pilot seat, Ash watched Sarah with those strange golden eyes. His scales had settled into a steady, calm pattern, trust her research had taught her. "The pattern of trust. Sarah, friend," he said softly. "You are strange predator." She laughed, the sound edged with exhaustion and relief. "I'm no predator, Ash, I'm human. And humans don't leave kids behind." As they broke atmosphere and jumped to FTL, leaving the Council's fleet scrambling in their wake, Sarah realized something profound. The galaxy had spent so long categorizing species as predators or prey that they had forgotten about protectors. But humanity remembered. Humanity always remembered,